players, guys, welcome. Welcome. Very special Sports Plus Life podcast. Sports Plus Life podcast, episode number 44. The Four Horsemen, double Four Horsemen. And the reason why it's special because it's officially fight week. Fight week is back. UFC 249 officially gonna pop off this Saturday, May 9th. Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson, El Cucuy, are banging it out this weekend. I couldn't be more excited. Sports are slowly starting to come back, and they are sorely missed, man. They are sorely missed, I think, from everyone in general. People use sports to get away from their wives, get away from their significant others, their kids, use sports to get away from life, use sports to get away from work. There's sports, people play hooky from work to go to day baseball games, which would be going on right now. Baseball should be in full swing 2 months in. April, May. Almost, a month in. And, but it's slowly coming back. UFC said it was going to be the first sport up and running here in the United States, and they weren't kidding. They are going to be popping off. I think it's going to be like on some sort of military base in Jacksonville. So I think I talked about this briefly not too long ago. The Sports Plus Life podcast episode number 43, Troy Polamalu episode. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. I think the next three, or I think a lot of them in the foreseeable future, are going to be happening in Jacksonville until Fight Island opens up. Then they're going to have fights on Fight Island. Wherever the hell the island is, I have no idea where it's at. But it's going to pop off. It's going to happen. It's going to be bangers, and we're definitely going to break down these fights for the most part, most of the fights. And it's going to be on ESPN Plus. I think pay-per-view, I believe, which I don't mind paying for this. I need it, man. It's like people are waiting for like the hair salons and tattoos parlors. Like, I don't know where you live. Here in Colorado, they slowly started opening up a bunch of stuff. I got my hair cut. My cousin's business up and running. Not that I didn't get him on the low. Don't worry about it. None of your business. My friend, got a bunch of friends in the, in the hair business, and they're up and running. Finally getting back to work. Tattoo parlors, I think, are going back to work. Nail salons are going back to work. People were waiting for those things to open up. I'm waiting for sports to pop up, and I will pay $65, $60, whatever it would be, to watch these fights gladly. I'm definitely going to pay them. This is it's good. It's refreshing, man. Instead of Saturday night getting my ass kicked in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. But by the way, you can watch me stream on twitch.tv/MRAKACO almost every day. And I'll be watching fights on Saturday for a change. And it's going to be good to get back in that routine. Not only is there going to be fights on Saturday, there's going to be fights Saturday, there's going to be fights next Wednesday, and there's going to be fights Saturday after that. So there's going to be 3 events within the span of 8 days. Maybe a little bit of overload. I don't know. I know the other 2 really aren't. I don't know if they're fully. Let's take a look here. Hold on. Before we break those, I want to double check something here real quick. I want to see if next Wednesday, because I don't know if they're fully up and running. May 13th, bangers right there. More bangers, just bangers on top of bangers. Dana White's delivering with these bangers. What's his name? Smith. Lionheart Smith. For Anthony Smith. He's fighting Glover Teixeira. Good fight. Ben Rothwell. Over St. Peru moving up to heavyweight from 205. Drew Dober versus Alexander Hernandez. You guys want to see flames? You watch that fight. And I think this one's going to be on ESPN Plus. I don't think it's going to be pay-per-view. I think it's just going to be ESPN Plus. And then Ricky Simon versus Ray Borg, bangers. Marvin Vettori versus Carl Roberson, bangers. So those are the only fights right now is that I see in here. Let me take a look at prelims. Yeah, it looks like they have a lot of the. Yeah, it looks like they. We'll talk about that when it's time. Okay, when it's time, we'll talk about it. It looks like they have a lot more fights coming up. Overeem versus Walt Harris next week, next Saturday, May 16th. No, 2 weeks. That's like next Saturday. When is it? No, yeah, you're right. Sorry. Next Saturday. I'm thinking. Never mind. Don't worry. Mind your business. More. That's too much, man. I can't talk about it right now. We're definitely going to save it for the more episodes 43. Episodes. I'm going backwards. Episode 45 and 46 is Sports Plus Live podcast. We're definitely going to talk about those ones. We are 6 away. Am I doing my math right? 6 away from episode number 50, which it's special, man, because I didn't even think I was going to get to 10, let alone number 50. But I enjoy doing this. I enjoy the guys, everyone that's tuning in. Who knows? Tune in. I might have something special for you. Check it out. But anyways, Sports Plus Live podcast episode number 44. We are talking about UFC 249. And UFC 249, main evented by Justin Gaethje. Went to school right here in my backyard, UNCO, University of Northern Colorado, Division I wrestling. From Arizona, but spend his life here in Colorado, just training, fighting, banging. So it's something about the air up here, the thin air that that he's huffing in, has brought him a successful. Very successful MMA career. And he has the mentality too. The guy's nuts. The guy is nuts. If you ever watch this fight, it's very calculated chaos. But same thing with Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson, who has probably one of the best nicknames, El Cucuy, which means the boogeyman in Spanish, giving it Cinco de Mayo with the day I'm recording this. El Cucuy versus the highlight, Justin Gaethje, and which originally should have been Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov for the lightweight championship. This fight will be for the interim lightweight championship. The winner goes on to face Khabib when Khabib is available to leave Russia or whatever the case may be. This is probably one of the most unpredictable fights. I can't pick a fight. I can't pick a winner. I've always bet against Tony Ferguson for whatever reason, and he's always shut me up. I think there's something about Tony Ferguson in short notice fights. He doesn't really fare. There was a fight here. Let me pull it up. I wasn't going to use my keyboard, but I'm going to have to. I have no choice now. Tony Ferguson. He struggled with somebody. And I want to say it was somebody from New Mexico. Somebody out of Jackson's camp, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Venata? I'm trying to think here. Hold on. Let me pull it up here. Struggled. And I remember this was a short notice fight. Lando Venata? I think that's the one. 2016, Lando Venata ended up darcing him, I believe. Was it that one? Yeah, it had to have been Lando Venata. He had a tough fight. That was a really tough. Lando Venata is a tough dude. And Justin Gaethje is very similar to Lando in the sense that he could bang. Throws great striking, very calculated with his banging, with his strikes, a little bit off the wall. So this could make a tough fight for Tony Ferguson, being the fact that he struggled with good strikers like this. And we've seen Justin Gaethje in his last few fights. All three, I think, knockouts. Let me see. I think it was James Vick, Edson Barbosa, and Cowboy, I think, are the last three knockouts. And all brutal knockouts, too. Pretty bad knockouts. Very good striker. The highlight, Justin Gaethje is going to have to probably put away Tony Ferguson early in the fight. Tony Ferguson has a gas tank unlike anybody. He gets better as the fight goes on. It is ridiculous how conditioned this guy is. The gas tank on that man. I don't know if I could compare it to anybody else. Maybe Demetrius Johnson, a Nate Diaz type, who can go for 10 rounds if he wanted to. He'll do a couple breakdance moves in between rounds too to show you he's not tired. So this fight has to end early for Justin Gaethje to win. Tony Ferguson, it's probably the same thing. Might have to jump on Justin Gaethje early to kind of get quote unquote get the jump on him. Who knows how this fight's gonna go? If the fight goes to the ground, you got to look out for Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson will, that 10 Planet Jiu-Jitsu is legit, and he attacks from wherever. He'll elbow you. He'll heal you. And when we heal you, I mean heal to your balls, heal to your liver, to your kidneys. He'll hit you with everything and anywhere at any time he wants. So that's the unpredictability of Tony Ferguson. And that's why they call him El Cucuy, because you be laying there and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you get hit with El Cucuy stuff. All I expect, man, I'm just excited, and it couldn't be a better card. Couldn't be a better card. This fight's going to be amazing. Somebody's going to get knocked out, I believe. There's going to be a finish. I don't know who. That's the thing. I just don't know who's. I'm not going to pick this fight. I can't pick this fight. So, Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson is the main event, not the first fight. Main event. That fight, just looking at these two, man, they're kind of similar. Similar haircuts and shit. Similar ears. They have the cauliflower ear. But man, I can't say. I don't know. I'm speechless right now because this fight. I've never thought a fight like this would happen, and it's gonna happen. It's happening in a few days. But the co-main event is kind of one part of the fight I'm probably looking forward to the most, because one of my favorite fighters, Dominic Cruz, the Dominator, is coming back to try to snatch the belt, 135-pound bantamweight belt from Triple C Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo's been on a tear, man. He beat up TJ Dillashaw, I think twice, maybe. I think that's what maybe once or twice. I'm gonna have to pull his stuff up. And then he also beat up. Well, obviously he beat Demetrius Johnson. But wait, I watched that fight. Definitely won that 3-2. Very, very good performance in that fight. No one's been able to do that to Demetrius Johnson since, get this, Dominic Cruz. So he didn't lose since losing to Dominic Cruz at 135 pounds, by the way. So there's a similarities. They fought. They have two fights that kind of combined. They have two fights in common. The TJ Dillashaw was they both won, but Cejudo finished his fight. Dominic Cruz won by decision. The Mighty Mouse, they both won by decision. So they both have common opponents. So they're very, very similar. They both have good gas tanks. They both have good footwork. Henry Cejudo's been very, very, as striking as gone, since he started. I want to say one of the last. I'm gonna pull him up here. Sick. God damn it! I'm not prepared. I wasn't prepared. I was too excited to talk. I just got off of work, and now we are talking. Henry Cejudo, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've talked about this before. Gold medalist at the Olympics in wrestling. Let me pull him up here. Yep, Olympic gold medalist, Pan American Championship, and two-time USA national team member. What did he? Doesn't matter. Where is it at here? He started find his UFC career 2013. Well, not UFC, but he started banging 2013. First time I saw him against Ryan Hollis, Legacy FC 24. That was the first time I saw him. Then he beat Ellis Garcia. And then he fought in the UFC card. He got brought up to the UFC and beat Dustin Kimura by decision. Chris Carriazo by decision twice. No. Chico Camus by decision the next one. Jussier Formega, very affordable opponent. Jussier Formega. Lost to Demetrius Johnson the first time, but I remember that. Got smoked. Knees and punches, got beat up. Was embarrassing for him. Ended up losing the decision to Joseph Benavidez, which I did not think he lost. And then just goes on a tear. Knocks out Wilson Hayes, beats Sergio Pettis, beats DJ by split decision, and then knocks out TJ Dillashaw, and then knocks out Marlon Moraes. So tough dudes on his way in his last 5 fights. Bunch of tough individuals. For a guy who's only been fighting, been mixed martial arts in 6 years. So he's climbed the ranks pretty good and has made a good name for himself. But now he is facing Dominic Cruz, who used to reign supreme on this division. But given all Dominic Cruz's, I think we'd be probably calling Dominic Cruz one of the greatest ever. One of the GOATs right now, if it wasn't for these injuries. Knee, shoulder, leg, foot. I mean, I think he's hurt everything. On his body. That's kept him out of fights, and good fights too. There's a lot of questions there. There's a big question. What if he never got hurt? What if he never got hurt? Would the rhythm be there? Would he have never lost to Cody Garbrandt? Because I think let me take a look here. Because he didn't lose a fight. 2007, he lost to Uriah Faber. Remember the one-arm guillotine? I remember that. He didn't lose a fight up until he fought Cody Garbrandt, which, by the way, was his last fight in 2016. He hasn't fought in almost 4 years because of injuries. Before that, he beat Uriah Faber decision and beat TJ Dillashaw by decision, knocked out Takeya Mizugaki, which I was right here in this basement. I was where I'm sitting right now. Just right over here to the left. TV was right here. I was watching that. I've never been so excited. I remember it was a main event on the undercard, if I'm not mistaken. Let me pull it up because it's right here. Takeya Mizugaki, UFC 178. Main event, preliminary card, Fox Sports 1. So it was on FS1, and I lost it, man. He comes out, double legs him, then TKOs him in the first round. Like I said, Dominic Cruz is one of my favorite fighters. I don't know how this fight's going to go because he hasn't fought 3-4 years. He hasn't fought in a long time. His mind's been sharp because he's done a lot of commentary. So he's been around the sport, still studying. I don't know how this is going to go. If I'm going to give the edge to anybody, it's going to be to the champion. It's going to be to Henry Cejudo. He's been the more active. He's fought a whole lot more. Obviously, he's fought a whole lot more better competition in the last 3 years. He's finished TJ Dillashaw with something Dominic Cruz couldn't do. He beat up Marlon Moraes, which, by the way, that fight, Marlon Moraes was winning the second round. And then he came back around. I think he finished the fight in the third or fourth round, I believe. So who knows how this is going to go? Nothing's for certain. That's the thing about MMA. I've said this once. I say this again. You may think, what is that? What they used to say? You may know the truth, but you have no idea. This is the true story of a true story. Remember at MTV? You may not think, you may not have a lock. It's just never. Nothing's ever a lock in MMA. I tried to quote something and it just kind of came out really bad. There's never a lock. Let's just say that. There's never a lock in MMA. There's so many different ways to lose, so many different ways to win. But here we are. Henry Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz. I'm very excited for this fight. And, I could keep going. I'm excited for every fight here. Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Francis Ngannou. You guys have never seen Francis Ngannou or Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Jairzinho Rozenstruik, I think, is 10-0. Has knocked out Alistair Overeem. Let me take a look at his last fights here. Let's see if they pulled it up or not. God damn it, I wish they would. I hate that. Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Knocked out Alistair Overeem. Knocked out Andre Arlovski. Knocked out Alan Crowder. And knocked out Junior Albini. Those are the last 4 fights in the UFC. So he's just a knockout machine. That he was losing that fight against Alistair Overeem, and just like that, knocked him out. I think in the 5th round, I believe 4th or 5th round. Let me take a look here. That wasn't it. 5th round, with literally 4 seconds left to go in that fight, knocked him out. And if you guys don't remember that fight, I think that fight happened in DC without even looking. It split Overeem's lip from here to down to here. Oh, it was bad. Looks like he got cut with the machete. He just got just one of those taps and crazy. This guy's strength is unbelievable. Can finish the fight at any point he wants, anytime he wants. So Same thing with Francis Ngannou. Take a look at someone like Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou knocked out over him, probably just as worse, but quicker. Knocked out over him. Knocked out Junior Dos Santos, former champion. He has also knocked out Cain Velasquez, a former champion. So he's on a murderer's row of former champions to beat them all. Knocked out Curtis Blades, he's a contender right now. And he lost that weird-ass fight to Derek Lewis. So his last loss was 2018, July 7th. And then lost to Stipe Miocic before that by a decision. So here's what I get. If this is going to be, which I doubt it's going to be, just take a look at Francis Ngannou. If this is a standoffish fight, if you're going to use your length, if you're going to paw at Francis Ngannou, and you don't get in his range, he's not going to knock you out. You get in his range, he's going to knock you out. Vice versa with Jairzinho Rozenstruik. So, if this is anything how it's supposed to be on paper, but like I said, nothing's ever a lock in MMA, someone's supposed to be knocked out within a minute and a half. Someone's supposed to be knocked out. Someone's supposed to be brutally murdered in a minute and a half. I'm not picking a winner here. If I were to go with anybody, I'm going with the fans. The fans are winning. UFC 249. Tough. That's just a tough fight to pick. If you guys have never seen either one of you guys fight, you'll know why. Let's keep going. It's still more card to go. We're only 3 fights in, and it's like there's like 18 fights here. Not 18, but there's a lot. Jeremy Stephens versus Calvin Kattar. If you guys don't know Calvin Kattar, I don't want to say his name wrong. Calvin Kattar, who just fought an up-and-comer, probably the number 1 contender for the featherweight championship outside of Max Holloway right now. And it is Zabit Nurmagomedov, I think. Calvin, no, how do you spell that? Calvin Kattar, Kattar, I don't want to mess up his name. Beat Zabit, lost the decision to Zabit Magomed Sharipov. I think his name different. Well, he lost his Zabit in a 5-round fight in Russia. If that fight was anywhere else, it'd probably been a different decision. Kattar came out and banged. Came out and was like, I don't give a shit what your title is. I don't give a shit what you're doing. If that fight happens anywhere else in Russia, it happens in Florida, for example, these fights happen here, they probably give it to Kattar. So the guy can fight. Knocked out Ricardo Lamas. You guys know Ricardo Lamas, tough dude. KO'd him. So he knocked out Chris Fishgold, and then he lost to Renato Moicano by decision, which I remember that fight. I don't remember that fight, actually. Never mind. And knocked out Shane Burgos. So the guy has punching power. The guy can KO you. But so can Jeremy Stephens. It's been on display before. Jeremy Stephens is brutally knocked out a former champion Rafael Dos Anjos. You pull up Jeremy Stephens. Last loss to Yair Rodriguez, my cousin. Lost to Zabit as well. That was same thing. Zabit. They had a common opponent. Zabit really didn't fight the fight. Use his length. Very boring fight. That's what you're supposed to do with Jeremy Stephens. If he gets inside, he was gonna knock you out. Got dropped by Jose Aldo. So he faced a lot of tough dudes. Knocked out Josh Emmett. Pretty bad. Knocked out Choi Do Ho. Choi Do Ho was a lot of promise. Unfortunately, lost that fight. I think he had to go serve in the military and then lost his return fight that he fought. I think it was in South Korea. That dude, man, that guy is the most unassuming dude. Choi Do Ho. You guys ever seen this guy? He looks very nice. Like, shake your hand, he'll bow to you. But he'll kill you in your sleep if you let him. Jeremy Stephens beat Gilbert Melendez And then he also decision Renato Moicano. So a lot of common opponents for these two. I expect another knockout. If these fights go the way they're supposed to, you'll see knockouts, you'll see bonuses. You'll if you're a UFC MMA fan in general, a sports fan in general, you're gonna get this major chubby, and you're gonna lose it, man. You're load all over. Moving on, because I'm getting half chub right now. I'm 6 to midnight. I went from 6 to midnight and still not even halfway through. Greg Hardy versus Yorgan De Castro. If you guys don't know Greg Hardy used to be a football player, offensive lineman, I think, for the Panthers, and then played for the Cowboys, but have since picked up MMA. Very troubled past, domestic violence, stuff like that. I don't know if he ever got charged, but is accused of domestic violence. I'm not 100% sure. Don't want to get into all that right now. But Greg Hardy versus Yorgan De Castro. Yorgan De Castro can put your lights out. And I'm sure anyone watching that fight, we know we don't like guys hitting women or, abusing women in any, verbally or physically. Anyone watching this fight, you guys know Greg Hardy, Yorgan De Castro is your guy right now. You want him to knock out someone like Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy's definitely embraced that villain role. He's still brand new, and the only reason why he's in the UFC is obviously he's a name. That's all he is. He's not the best, but they're putting him in the fire now. Yorgan De Castro can put your lights out. He was originally, I think he broke out in Dana White's Contender, I think is what it's called. Bangers, man. Just bangers. And he's a family man, so he's going to have his target, his iron sight set on Greg Hardy. That's the main event right now. Going back into the prelims, our boy Donald Cowboy Cerrone fighting Anthony Pettis for the second time. I've talked about this briefly. Anthony Pettis beat Donald Cerrone with body shots pretty bad. Kicked him, I think, liver kick. If you guys ever been kicked in the liver, you know that shit hurts. If you want to win a fight, if you want to fuck somebody up in a street fight, punch their liver and watch them just lose their legs, lose everything, and just fall to the ground. There's nothing. That's the worst thing that could ever happen to you in a street fight. If you just fall and you crumble. Don't ever get hit in the liver. Try not to. But if it hurts, trust me. The return of Fabricio Verdum versus Alexei Olenek. We'll see. Fabricio Verdum, I think, served like 2 years. Hasn't fought in like a 2-year sentence, I think, for PEDs, I believe. But hasn't fought in 3 or 4 or something like that. Big dude. I've seen him around here in my hometown. Black belt jiu-jitsu is thinking about Alexei Olenek. If you guys remember, Alexei Olenek had that banger. Won by submission, I believe. That Conor McGregor Cowboy Cerrone fight November, December, whenever that was. So, jiu-jitsu bangers right there. Usually when two grapplers get together, you end up being in, a stand-up fight. Unlike that, the Ben Askren and Damian Maia fight, that's not a good example, but there's other fights you could look at. Carla Esparza versus Michelle, the Karate Hottie Watterson. I don't know how this fight's going to go. Carla Esparza being the grappler, being the wrestler, and Michelle Watterson being the striker. I'm going for the Karate Hottie because that's my girl. Homegirl. We're people. We go back like spinal cords and car seats. Like 2 flats on a Cadillac, as my friend Woods used to say. Another half chubby here. Uriah Hall versus Ronaldo Jacare Sosa. I don't need to say anything else. I'm like, you could like, you know what I'm saying? Early prelims. Nico Price versus Vicente Luque. Oh, this is on the Fight Pass. And Charlie Rosa versus Bryce Mitchell. Ryan Spann versus Selma. You guys got to get UFC Fight Pass for $10 a month on UFC.com to watch these fights. Because there's no other way to watch it other than that. I think they'll have it on ESPN. They usually do have it on ESPN Plus. But keep an eye out for that. 4:30 my time is when their fights are starting. All the whole card in general starts. 6:30 Eastern looks like. So if you learn anything right now, you learn that I got a half chubby right now, and it's going to be full on 6 to midnight when it comes to Saturday night, May 9th. I can't wait. It's been too long without sports. I've been watching the same shit every morning. I go on, I come to work, because this is my battle station, is where I work. I turn on the TV right behind you, and I watch Get Up with Mike Greenberg. And then they have, like, usually Dominic Foxworth, and they'll have Adam Schefter, whoever. They'll have anyone. All they talked about was Tom Brady for like a month. And then now they're talking about the draft. And now they're talking about Dak Prescott, which we'll talk about here in a second. And now they're talking about baseball coming back. So aside from the fight game coming back, baseball is on the way back. By the way, there was a boxing match, I think, last week in Nicaragua. Maybe Nicaragua? I can't remember. But there's boxing. And like in between rounds, they were like sanitizing this. There's a guy in a hazmat suit just like spraying down the other fighter. Pretty crazy. I don't know who fought in that one. I gotta look that up. But yeah, South Korea, baseball's officially back. Their league is up and running. First games happened today or last night, whenever the time difference is. Which is very promising for the United States, for sports in general here in the United States, sports in the future. No fans in attendance. Majority of the people wore masks. All umpires wore masks. So very, very different times, very trying times we're in, very different times we're in. But sports is on its way back. It's slowly but surely. I think we're all going to be back up and running, unless you're Florida, because right now Florida's just went full send. Florida was like, we are opening up everything. You go to the beach, go get your hair did. You go to the mall. I don't think you go to the mall, but you go get food with your homies. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. That's Florida. Florida has a different set of rules than anywhere else in the United States. We all know that. We all know. I don't know what the rules are. I don't know if you could go to the beaches. But I know when everything started like breaking down, people were still spring breaking. Nothing was shut down in Florida. Everyone else is like, yeah, we're shutting shit down. California was like, nope, we aren't doing this, and a bunch of other states followed. So we'll see. But speaking of Florida, I think they're announcing that soon. WWE, AEW, which are the wrestling organizations, are going to be able to have fans here pretty soon, as early as this week or next week, is what I've heard. I haven't read much into it, but it'd be pretty crazy. I think there's still going to be the small venues, the NXT Performance Center still. Money in the Bank is going to be happening this weekend, I believe, and I think they're having it, if I'm not mistaken, at the WWE headquarters. It's weird. They start at the bottom, they have to go all the way to the top. I don't know. Money in the Bank is popping off, so I don't know how that's all going to work out. Jesus, excuse me. Something else I was going to say. Fans, WWE, Florida. AEW is going to have fans. What is it? I forgot. Must have been a lie. Yeah, I don't know how that's all going to go down. I had shit written down. Really didn't have shit written down, but you can have fans here. That's really about it, really. I just don't know how it's going to work out. With the fans, NXT Performance Center probably opening up. That's what I was going to say. I read today that for SummerSlam, because you guys remember SummerSlam, I think they pushed back the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies, Hall of Fame ceremony in general to SummerSlam. Don't know what's going to happen then. Don't know how the landscape's going to look here in about 2-3 months. In 3 months, when August comes around, SummerSlam comes around, I read that they could be having SummerSlam at Hulk Hogan's private beach. That's what I heard. It makes sense. I don't know if Hulk Hogan's going to charge him. I don't think he should. Hulk Hogan owes a lot to WWE and Vince McMahon. I don't know how that's going to work out. It's going to be outside. Bash at the Beach style. If you guys remember WCW used to be Bash at the Beach. They used to have events popping off on the beach. WCW did. It might be a little ode to Bash at the Beach. SummerSlam happening on the beach, so I mean, I can't believe it hasn't happened before. I've been on concerts by the beach. That was pretty cool. I saw Billy Currington. Is it Savage Garden? What's that guy's? No, Bush. It's Bush. I saw Bush there, and I can't remember who else. Snoop Dogg, I think, was there. In Florida, by the way. All places, Florida. So, Florida lives on a different set of rules. Who knows where the future holds? Who knows where we're slowly opening stuff back up. If we get back to normal, if more people are getting sick, I'm not going outside for shit. I only leave to go to my sister's house, where my niece and my mom are right now, and my brother-in-law. And I go to the gas station and to get food, and that's about it. That's all I do. That's usually what I do in general, so nothing much has changed there. So I did tell you guys the story how I need more vitamin D because I'm white AF. Not white, but pale-skinned, light-complected. I'm supposed to be brown, brown. I'm not brown. It's my dad's side of the family. That's how they all look. We look violently sexy, light-skinned, violently sexy. Yeah, I'm so excited I'm just so excited of these fights coming back. One thing I did want to talk about, and I saw this morning while watching Get Up, that Andy Dalton just signed with the Cowboys as a backup. They made it very clear he's going to be a backup. Now, they signed Andy Dalton before signing Dak Prescott. They franchised Dak Prescott, which means that he has to find the franchise tender. He's going to get paid $31 million next year. That's like a 1-year thing. If I'm not mistaken, $30-something million, which is a shitload of money. I think the last person to do something like this, I think Kirk Cousins did it twice with the Redskins. And now he's getting paid. Now he's robbing the Vikings. The question came up. Is this, are the Cowboys handling this right? Is this being handled correctly? Jerry Jones is an old dude. Been around the game for a long time. Was an oil dude. SoFi Stadium, which is going to be the LA Chargers, LA Rams Stadium. SoFi is Jerry Jones' company. Jerry Jones, an oil tycoon. So you ever see those oil tycoons? You ever see, if you guys ever watch Ballers? And towards the end there, they had all the meetings, and there's a guy playing Jerry Jones. You see Jerry Jones. There's Jerry Jones. He's just an old school dude, Southern. I bring that up because who knows if he's too old school. Like if this was Tony Romo, the deal would have been done right now for Dak Prescott. They're supposed to have talks before the season, maybe in the season. Towards the beginning of the season, Dak Prescott was playing very, very well last season. And nothing's been done yet. So they franchised him. Don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of being franchising somebody. Which means you got to keep him. You're going to pay him for that 1 year. It sounds like. But if this was Tony Romo, would a deal would have been done? Yes, a deal would have been done. I think a deal did get done for Tony Romo as quickly as possible. What was brought up this weekend, or this morning, sorry, and probably this weekend by somebody else, is this a race thing? Dak Prescott being a black quarterback, is this a race thing? I want to say it's not. But we've all seen different. I don't want to think it's a race thing. Especially Dak Prescott being a black quarterback playing, which has been in the past a white person's position. Now, a lot of this shit comes up. Well, it just is what it is. It's always been. I bring that up because that's a Southern thing to do. Look at the Mannings. All, Peyton, Eli, Archie, all quarterbacks. You look at, just historically a lot of white quarterbacks. Black quarterbacks aren't accepted as quarterbacks because of their athleticism. I think Warren Moon smashed that Randall Cunningham has smashed that. Michael Vick has smashed that. Guys, black quarterbacks can, especially people like Russell Wilson, Doug Williams, who have won Super Bowls, being a black quarterback on Super Bowl teams. Patrick Mahomes, another one. You see the way the game is changing, it's going to be a lot more black quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts got drafted in the second round. Jordan Love got drafted in the first round. Who else? Tua Tagovailoa, which is Samoan. So you're seeing a shift in the NFL. And I've talked about this before, just probably not that long ago on the Sports Plus Live podcast, on athleticism shift in the NFL. I don't know. Dak Prescott is just as athletic as anyone else. I think Dak Prescott gets a bad rap because he's on the Cowboys team. When I first saw Dak Prescott play against the LA Rams, in a playoff game, I was like, this kid's a future. Now, this is when Tony Romo got hurt. Broke his back, and he had to go in and play. The kid, I think it was, I don't know who, someone started ahead of him, but he came in and he tore it up, and I was like, this guy's a future. This guy's going to be playing this year, and eventually he did. And he's done well for the Cowboys. He's done well. He's able to get out of pressure. He doesn't throw a whole lot of, they have a great offensive line. He doesn't throw a whole lot of picks. Unlike someone like Jameis Winston or something like that. I don't get what the holdup is, whether it be business, whether they're trying to be flexible in the price to add more players. They got CeeDee Lamb in the draft. So they're definitely loading up the offense for someone like Dak Prescott. They have a great offensive line. Ezekiel Elliott will be back this year, full strength, I think, from the get. So I'm very confused as to why they haven't done something or put something on paper for Dak Prescott, or haven't even begun talks. Dak Prescott's asking price could be a little bit ridiculous. I think he's gone out to say something like, I cannot feed my family on $40 million a year, which is complete bullshit. You definitely can. You're just being a dick. But there's no negotiations going on. There's no conversations happening. Who knows? Maybe getting Andy Dalton is saying, listen, we're not afraid to lose you. People like Andy Dalton are out there. Cam Newton is out there. They're not afraid. He's just not afraid to move on. And Jerry Jones held on to fucking Jason Garrett for what, 4 or 5 years? 3 years too long, I think. 2 or 3 years too long. So, but the same thing goes. If that was a black coach, would the same rules hold on when it comes to Jerry Jones? Who knows? I want to think that it's not, given the time we're in, about racism, but we've seen him in the past. Tony Romo got his deal. Jason Garrett got held on for too long. We've just seen it. So I hope Dak Prescott signs his tender, because I think he has to sign the tender for them to even rescind the offer. So who knows? That's going to be an ongoing thing. We are in May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. We still got probably a long summer ahead of us. So who knows? 2 more months. Maybe something will pop off. Still training camp. He's not going to be part of the virtual workouts, whatever they are. So this is still TBD, to be determined. But what's not to be determined is fights this weekend. Sports are coming back, specifically my sports. I love MMA. You guys know how I feel about sports. This podcast is built around sports. Also built around life. During this time in the quarantine, I have picked up Twitch streaming, which I don't think I've ever talked to you guys about in depth. When I came up with Sports Plus Life, I came up with, I wrote down what it was like. What did I like? Not what I was good at, but what did I like? And what is the reason for all of my failed relationships? And I sat there and I was like, well, some of them I wasn't faithful. It's besides it, but it's different. But I look at my last relationship. It happened a long time ago. I love playing video games. Video games are so much more fun. And sports were the two main factors of my last relationship not working. Just a little insight, a little depth of what happened. And this has happened a long time. I'd rather go watch fights than go out and do a double date with somebody else. It's just going to be boring as shit, especially when there's fights on. My last relationship, I did, and I own up to this. As a man, you got to own up to it. You got to learn from your mistakes, but you have to also. That's probably why I've been in a relationship in 6 years, 5-6 years. Plus a lot, lost a toe, a bunch of other shit happens. So don't worry about it. I would get off of work and I would rather go play video games. Go online, play video games with the homies, and then that's what I would have rather done. I'd rather play video games. Still always going to be Call of Duty, whatever. I would rather much do that. It was a whole lot more fun. And then pillow talk or stuff like that. Just the same old routine you have with a relationship every night. And a lot of that's on me. I know, I get it. It's on me. Other thing was, it was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And this was kind of both ways. Manchester United was showing up to Colorado. And I was like, I'm not missing this. There's no way I'm missing this. I got tickets. Me and my coworker, his son, and I got an extra ticket. And I didn't even think twice about asking my girlfriend. Here's why. She would clown me and get mad at me for waking up at 5 a.m. to watch Manchester United. 5, 6 o'clock in the morning to watch Manchester United play. And she's like, that's stupid. Why would you do that? Because I want to. Why would you buy clothes you're never going to wear? It's like, what the fuck? So that's kind of, that's what it was. It's kind of, that kind of was, he's like, she's like, I want to take a break. We never got together. But anyways, I'm going deep into my shit. I don't think I ever told you guys this. Some people know, but not all of it. But, I was like, what's the reason for my failed relationships? A lot of the times it's sports. I'd rather go watch fights than go hang out with, my girl and her friends. Because a lot of them weren't really that cool. They weren't fun. I'd rather go watch sports. I'd rather spend all day, me and my friend used to do, go to Buffalo Wild Wings on a Saturday and watch college sports all fucking day and get fat. I'd rather play video games in between that time. It's a whole lot more fun. A video game will never up and leave me or tell me that my hobbies are stupid. And that's what it was. So when I brought up Sports Plus Life, Sports Plus Life just isn't going to be a podcast. It's a YouTube channel. There are going to be other different videos up there. Sports Plus Life, I want to branch out the gaming. Gaming has been a passion of mine for a long time. And I fell in love with streaming these last couple weeks. Streaming has been so much fun. Thank you to a few of you guys that popped in and said, what's up? MRAKACO on Twitch. And a whole lot of fun. I can definitely interact with people I don't talk to in generally. I also can play video games and just have fun. Right now I'm playing a lot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Call of Duty, what's it called? Warzone. And I'm having so much fun doing it. I see just, how much fun a lot of these streamers have. I was like, dude, I want to do that. I don't give a shit how old I am. I want to do it, and it's fun. And, the way the world is going, why not do what you love to do? Why not do shit like this? Try shit out like this. If you have the opportunity to, so I'm doing it. I'm streaming. So that's a big reason. Sports Plus Life just isn't, like I said, it was never going to be just about sports. Sports is going to be about life. Relationships, like I just talked to you right now. Fashion, one thing I know you can't tell. I like fashion. I like looking good sometimes. Haven't really had the need to recently because of my job. And I'm working from home. I don't give a shit how people see me. Right now I'm in my underwear, if you can't tell. Just kidding, I'm not. It's going to be about just life choices in general. People learning from my mistakes. And then just, I'm here for advice. If you have any questions, feel free to holler at me. Sports Plus Life, Instagram and Twitter. MRAKACO, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. And YouTube as well. Go in the comment section. If you have a question, let me know. And I'm going to try to answer it the best of my ability. If not, I'll direct you in the right, I'll ask someone else. I don't care. I'll ask Google. Then I'll go off of that. Google's fucking lying. Let me tell you what I would do. So Sports Plus Life isn't just about sports. It's gaming. It's, entertainment. It's fashion. It's going to be a lot of things. I know recently it's been a lot about sports because I love fucking sports, and I haven't really talked about anything else recently, but that's where we're at. But I'm branching out to bigger, better things. Eventually, we'll get big enough to where everything's going to make sense eventually. But yeah, that's it, man. That's all I wanted to talk to you guys about. UFC 249 returning, Dak Prescott. Sports are slowly coming back, and Florida's full send. So that's it. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I know it was a long episode, but I had a lot to talk about, and I missed sports. I missed you guys. I do a lot of these baby podcasts. If you haven't checked it out, I'll link it in the description below about the Last Dance. That's why I didn't talk about the Last Dance of today's podcast, because there's already a video out about it. Strictly on YouTube. You should be able to catch a podcast. And I don't know. I'll have to double check. I don't remember if I put the last podcast out on Spotify. Oh, shit. I'm going to have to look it up. Anyways, I'm going to go check that out. I'm going to go fix this error. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love you guys. I will catch you guys next one. Sports Plus Life. You know what? Hold on. Everyone chill. You know what I didn't do? You guys know what I didn't do. Sports Plus Life podcast, episode number 44. The Reggie Jackson, Hank Aaron, Jerry West for episode of the Sports Plus Life podcast. Dude, I can't believe I messed it up. So, yeah. A lot of greats. 44 brings a lot of greats. So, follow me. 44 also, Barack Obama, episode number 44. President number 44, the Sports Plus Life podcast. That's it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys later.